This is the all carbon fiber VMAX VX8, the world's only ultra lightweight scooter that can also climb the world's steepest hills. The reason that the VX8 climbs so well is because it has a really unusual type of motor, and we're going to open this up later. There are a lot of really good lightweight electric scooters. The E-TWOW, the Unagi Voyager, Apollo Go. I even owned a NIU KQi Air. I spent weeks testing all of them. At the end of this video, I'm going to talk about what each one does best and worst, including what they each give up in order to keep the weight down. Since I've scientifically tested all of these scooters, we're going to see the head-to-head data. But since the most common shortcoming of lightweight scooters is hill climbing, we're going to start off with climbing two different hills. First up, ESG 10% grade hill. 12, 14, and 15. The VX8 came in first place, climbing the ESG test hill in 11.2 seconds. That's 3.5 seconds faster than the NIU KQi Air, roughly a second ahead of the dual motor Apollo Go. Now that we've conquered the ESG test hill, let's go try the steepest hill in San Francisco. This is a hill that dual motor electric scooters have failed to climb. I tried it on a Unagi, I tried it on the Apollo Go. If the VX8 can climb this hill, it's gonna be the world's lightest scooter that can climb this hill. I'm gonna do it from a standing start. And the torque is incredible. Steady 7 miles an hour all the way up this hill. Not struggling at all. That is so weird to be able to climb such a steep hill on such a light scooter. I'm gonna do it again. Once I made it to the top, I just kept going. There we go, number 2. Run number 3. 3 times in a row. I even surprised a bystander on round 4. I don't know if that's gonna work. This is the 4th time. Yeah, in a row. Round 5. There is no scooter in the world that's this light that can climb like this. If you've got a commute that's relatively flat, any lightweight scooter will do. On the other hand, if you've got some steep hills in your commute, having a scooter with a great hill climbing spec can make the difference between showing up at work refreshed or showing up all sweaty from pushing your scooter uphill. We're gonna cover more performance testing in a moment, but before we do, let's open up the motor. Carbon fiber is cool and all, but the rarest feature on the VX8 is the gear drive motor. Let's open it up. I've tested over 200 electric scooters. The only 2 that I've ever tested that use a planetary drive gear drive motor are the VX8 and the new VX2 gear. Most scooters use a direct drive motor, so you just have magnets on the outside that are spun around directly by a stator that's on the inside. With a gear drive motor, you've got this high RPM motor spinning in the middle, and that's driving these green gears here, which then drive this perimeter gear around the outside. The difference is that even at really low speeds, this motor is still spinning really fast. It still gives you access to the peak power of the motor, even on a steep hill. It uses a special type of grease that I've heard is good for up to 30,000 kilometers. Stuff, you get it on your fingers, it won't even come off with Dawn dishwashing detergent. And I know I'm gonna get some feedback here about these green plastic gears, so it helps keep things lightweight. And these are also meant to last the 30,000 kilometers that this motor is rated for. Let's have a close-up look at some of the carbon fiber. Most scooters are made of sections of aluminum, which is cost-effective, but it's not the lightest. The VX8 has a hand-laid carbon fiber frame, carbon fiber forks, the stem's carbon fiber, even the fenders are made out of carbon fiber. 34 or 35 pounds is kind of a magic number. You can just fold it down and carry it up a flight of stairs without even thinking about it. That can make the difference between a scooter that you intend to ride but never do, and a scooter that you ride every day. So what's it like to ride the VX8, and why doesn't a $2,000 scooter have suspension? Just a really simple reason for that is that any good suspension adds weight. So instead we use 10-inch tubeless air-filled tires, which really have the best combination of ride quality, road feel, and traction. Scooters like Unagi and E-TWOW use solid tires, which have the advantage of being puncture-proof, but they also send vibrations just straight up into your skull. And the traction's not as good as conventional tires. The E-TWOW scooter smooths things out a little bit by adding some springs, but no hydraulic damping to the suspension. I can't even count how many times I've chucked one of those into a corner and almost lost the front end or the back end due to low traction. Some people love solid tires, but they're definitely not for me. These tall sidewall air-filled tires act as your primary suspension on the VX8, and because they're tubeless, it means you can run them at lower tire pressures for more ride comfort without risking getting pinch flats over sharp bumps. Is the ride of the VX8 as smooth as the VMAX VX2 hub or VX2 gear with dual suspension? Definitely not. But is it smooth enough for a 5 to 10 mile commute? Absolutely. Now it's time for a top speed run. We're at the Electric Scooter Guide top speed run spot. Let's test the top speed of the carbon fiber VX8. 2, 1, go! Oh man. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I barely need a block to get up to speed. Showing 20.8 7. This is a gear drive motor, and you can hear the gears spinning right now. That's what gives it such incredible torque going up steep hills, but it also limits the top speed because the motor can only spin so fast. I'm gonna run a little more, and then we'll do it the other direction. The results of the top speed run are in. The VX8 went 20.7 miles per hour, 21 miles per hour if we round it to the nearest mile per hour. It comes out in the middle of the competition here. That's intentional. The VX8 is a scooter that's designed to grab and go every day. So we didn't want it to be so fast that it requires a full set of motorcycle gear just to ride it safely. For city riding, 20 miles per hour is kind of a sweet spot because it's not crazy fast, but it still makes it easy to pass bikes in the bike lane if you want to. This next section looks at a couple of things the Swiss are famous for: safety and privacy. Let's start out by looking at the brakes. On the VX8, you get separate brake levers for the front and rear brakes with a drum up front and regen out back. We use drum brakes because they're virtually maintenance free. They don't squeak, the pads don't really wear out, you don't get bent rotors, and you almost never need to make any adjustments. It's also the hardest kind of brake to get wrong. If you grab a big fistful, you're not going to send yourself over the handlebars. In the braking test, the VX8 came in second with a stopping distance of 13.9 feet. Credit to ESG here, these braking numbers are all from past reviews, although I was the one that did the testing. I mentioned privacy earlier, so what do privacy and scooters have to do with each other? All the top scooter companies, Apollo, Segway, NIU, they all have apps, and they all require a login in order to get all of the features out of your scooter. You just can't do it through the display. But the VMAX scooters, while we do have an app, you have complete control over the scooter directly through the display. You never need to create a login unless you want to. And let's get back to performance. Next up is the range test. We're at the Electric Scooter Guide range test course to find out how far the VX8 can really go. So is it gonna go further or not as far as non-gear drive motors? Let's find out. On the ESG range test course in beast mode, I rode the VMAX VX8 16.8 miles, which puts it sort of in the middle of the pack. Now, all of these scooters I rode in sport mode on the same range test course, so these are all head-to-head results. Worth noting that my average speed on the VX8 was about 20% faster than all of the other scooters, and that's just because the range test course has a lot of hills in it, and the VX8 climbed those hills faster. How long did they take to come back to life? Well, the VMAX VX8 charges in 3 hours, as does the Unagi Model One Voyager. The E-2 scooter has 3.5 hours, the KQi Air 5 hours, and the Apollo Go is 7.5 hours, although you can drop that down to 3 if you buy an optional charger. Let's look at the cockpit. We've got this brilliant 3.5-inch TFT color display. Like your phone, it's covered in real glass, not plastic that scratches if you look at it wrong. You can switch from eco mode to sport and back right over here. And then you've got your bell. And of course, turn signals at the bar ends, little indicators right here. All other VMAX scooters also have turn signals down on the deck, but the VX8 only gets them up top for weight savings. Now I'm gonna sum it up. I'm gonna take you through all 5 comparison scooters and give you 30 seconds on each scooter about what it does best and what it's worst at. I'm gonna start off with the VX8. The minus here, of course, is a $2,000 scooter isn't for everybody, but if you like hand-laid carbon fibers and a scooter that is pound for pound the world's best hill climber, this is it. If you have stairs at home or at work and you want a scooter that you can just reach for every day, it's so light you don't lock it up, you bring it with you. The VX8 is your scooter. It also feels a little bit special having a scooter that you know that almost nobody else has. We can only make so many of them. But as of the publishing date of this video, we do have them in stock in Los Angeles. What about the Apollo Go? Well, the Go has the smoothest ride of the group, and the throttle response and brake response on that scooter are just absolutely exquisite. But at an ESG tested weight of 49.2 pounds, it's not really at home on a list of 25 to 30 pound scooters, but I included it here because its popularity has made it the benchmark for lightweight dual motor scooters. And we've got the E-TWOW GT Sport, and I know some people are going to comment that it's E-TWOW or it's something else. There's a video with the founder, he calls it E-TWOW, so I'm going to call it E-TWOW. For the highest speed and the lightest weight, the GT Sport is it. I mean, this thing's close to 30 miles per hour. You take into account the folding handlebars, and nothing can touch it in terms of raw portability. But even diehard supporters, and I know I'm going to hear from you guys have got to admit, the design is ancient and the handlebars can get wiggly, or sometimes they get stuck and they won't pull out and fold down at all. And personally, even though it is a very fast scooter, I tend not to use all the speed because the small solid tires kind of feel sketchy to be at anywhere near the top speed of the scooter. Then we have the Unagi Model One Voyager, and this scooter is an absolute classic. When it comes to dual motor scooters, really nothing folds down smaller and is easier to carry, and it's
gotta be the cleanest design of an electric scooter I've ever seen. But the combination of solid tires, no suspension, and range that's on the shorter side has been off-putting for some people. It's also a little strange that this is a scooter you can't buy anymore brand new. You can only lease them, which for some people is a plus, and for others is going to be a minus. Then there's the new KQi Air. It's a ton of fun to ride. I've owned one, and the lightness is astounding. But the reason I sold it, it doesn't actually have to do with the ride quality, it was the app, and more precisely the firmware of the scooter. I only rode the Air every few weeks, and every time I would come back to the scooter, I'd find that it wouldn't turn on and that the battery was drained because it was sitting there listening for the NFC key the whole time. And so I would either need to leave it plugged in all the time, which isn't optimal, or I would need to remember to charge it the night before, which is no fun. I hope this video has helped you decide which lightweight electric scooter is the best one for you. If you like VMAX but don't want to spend $2,000 on a VX8, we've got a lot of other less expensive scooters as well, like the VX2 Pro and the fabulous new VX2 Hub. Two important things before you go. One, if you don't have a scooter yet, just go get one. Life is way better with an electric scooter. And of course, the other important thing I always say is ride safe and don't forget to wear a helmet. Oh, and there's a coupon code down in the description if you're interested in a VX8 or any of the VMAX scooters.